01. Bird saliva is a delicacy in China. One expensive delicacy of China is bird's nest soup, which is made from rare birds' nests created from the saliva of small swiftlets. They have been used in China for cooker for over 4 centuries. 2. Food is allowed to contain some amount of insects. By FDA standards, there's an allowance for the level of traces of bugs could be in your food. For example, chocolate can have no more than 60 insect fragments per 100 grams. Peanut butter can't have more than 30 insects per 100 grams. 3. Coffee beans can help eliminate bad breath. If you chew on roasted coffee beans, it can help prevent the bacteria that cause bad breath. Drinking coffee helps too, it's just less effective. 4. Mountain Dew contains orange juice. Although it tastes like a lemon-lime soda, orange juice is third on the list of ingredients, just behind carbonated water and high-fructose corn syrup. 05. Chimichanga means thingamajig. Considered to be Mexican food, chimichangas actually originated from Tucson, Arizona. The name was coined in the 50s by a cook who was trying not to curse in front of kids. 06. Food tastes different when you're flying. Altitude changes your body chemistry, making certain flavors taste different than how they taste when you're on the ground. 07. There's wood pulp in shredded cheese. An ingredient called cellulose is digestible wood pulp. It's a filler used to keep the cheese from clumping together and is approved as safe by the FDA. 08. Humans' DNA is 60% the same as bananas. Our genes are comprised of 3 billion building blocks, which are surprisingly ununique. From this, 60% of our genes are identical to that of a banana, however the other 40% is different enough to make us who we are. 09. Pizza Hut used to be the nation's biggest purchaser of kale. Pizza Hut's salad bar was popular way before kale became a trend back in the early 2010s. They used it as a garnish for its salad bars, it wasn't even for eating. 10. Figs can contain dead wasps. Figs are actually inverted flowers with a unique pollination process requiring wasps instead of bees. Female wasps lay their eggs in male figs that we don't eat, but sometimes the wasp will accidentally enter a female fig, which is a deadly mistake. The wasp dies inside and ends up decomposing inside the fig. 11. Potatoes are 80% water. Sure, we all know celery is high in water, but who knew potatoes were only 15% behind them? Technically, you could juice a potato, but I don't think anyone wants that. 12. India produces, consumes, and exports the most chili peppers in the world. Chili peppers weren't introduced to India until the 15th century, but they were a hit. These days, they not only eat and grow more than anyone else, but this is where you'll find some of the spiciest peppers such as the boot jolokia. 13. 49% of Americans over 20 eat a sandwich every day. During the Revolutionary War, the Americans would avoid sandwiches due to their association and origin in Britain. Clearly that has changed today, after a 2014 study found that 49% of Americans over 20 eat one sandwich every day. 14. Serbia hosts the most costly cheese. Pule cheese is made from donkey milk at one location in Serbia. 1 pound of discounted Pule was sold for $576 per pound, but the normal cost is over $1,000 per pound. 15. Turkey consumes the most tea per person. Although Turkish coffee is popular, tea is the bigger of the staples. Per capita, Turks drink almost 7 pounds of tea every year. Even England doesn't drink that much. 16. The Netherlands drinks the most coffee per person. Another surprising statistic here, each person drinks about 2.5 cups of coffee every day. Finland and Sweden trail behind them at 1.8 and 1.3 cups. 17. Popcorn at the movies isn't universal. Popcorn is the go-to movie snack for Americans, and it's easy to assume everyone else does this too. However, in Colombia, dried ants are the popular option. Meanwhile in Korea, The snack of choice is dried cuttlefish, and in China they eat dried salted plums. 18. Brown sugar is no different than white sugar. Brown sugar is no less refined than white sugar. The only difference is the fact that some of the molasses that gets removed in the refining process is added back in. 19. German chocolate cake has nothing to do with Germany. German chocolate cake was invented by a Texan who used German's chocolate, which is simply baking chocolate named after the creator, Sam German. It's all in the name. 20. Tonic water glows in the dark. It's weird to think that my insides are glowing whenever I have a gin and tonic, but it's true. Quinine is the component of tonic water, which is what causes the glow. 21. Flamin' hot Cheetos were invented by a janitor. In 1976, Richard Montanez made a pitch for the idea of Flamin' hot Cheetos to the Frito-Lay's CEO. Richard was working as a janitor at the Frito-Lay plant in California and got the idea while eating a lote, grilled corn on a stick. 22. Coriander and cilantro are not the same thing. Although people tend to think it's the same thing with a different name, that's not the case. Cilantro is the plant's leaves and stems, while the coriander is the name of the dried seeds. 23. There's a small difference between jelly and jam. Jam is made with fruit, which is why it's so chunky. Meanwhile, jelly is made with fruit juice. An easy way to tell the difference between jelly and jam is that jelly will spread evenly, while jam will tend to be a little lumpy. 24. Alabama's state nut is famous. The state nut of Alabama is the pecan. It's such a big deal. There's a state pecan festival every year with carnival rides, country music, and a western show. All revolving around pecans. 25. India has the lowest meat consumption in the world. Per capita, Indians only consume 7 pounds of meat per person per year. 26. Nutritious food is more expensive than junk food. This is a great excuse to use to eat junk food and save money, but our bodies don't like it so much. Per ounce, nutritious food costs up to 10 times more than junk food. 27. In an emergency, coconut water can be used for blood plasma. Just like blood plasma, coconut water has levels of high sodium and low potassium. It should only be used in absolute emergencies, because adverse effects may be fever, headaches, itchiness, or aching sensations. 28. Fortune cookies are not Chinese. Although we think of these as a Chinese food staple, fortune cookies are from an entirely different continent. They were invented in the early 1900s in San Francisco. 29. You could survive only by drinking breast milk. Breast milk is the only single food that provides all the nutrients that our bodies need. Adults could survive off of this as well, provided they receive enough of it. 30. Eskimos use refrigerators to stop their food from freezing. You wouldn't think you'd need anything to keep your food cold in the Arctic, but it's exactly the opposite. In order to prevent food from freezing, Eskimos need refrigerators to keep it from getting too cold. 31. Eating fast food regularly has the same impact on the liver as hepatitis. 1 month of eating fast food can cause significant changes to your liver due to the amount of fat and saturated fats. These changes in liver enzymes are similar with the effects of hepatitis. 32. A ridiculous amount of Nutella is sold every year. So much so, that it could cover the Great Wall of China 8 times, you could circle the world 1.8 times, and the amount weighs the same as the Empire State Building. 33. Goat meat is the most popular meat. Although we may be accustomed to burgers, goat meat accounts for 70% of the red meat eaten globally. This is great news because goats are better for you and the environment. 34. Throwing food away is illegal in Seattle. Since 2015, if you don't compost your food waste and compostable paper, businesses will be fined $50 per dumpster, and just $1 for single-family homes. 35. One of the most influential men in history was an agricultural scientist. Norman Borlaug developed new strains of crops which yielded 4 times as much food. He is said to have saved the lives of over 1 billion people. 36. California is the world's 5th largest supplier of food. In spite of its struggles with droughts, California is also one of the leading irrigation water users in the US, probably to supply all of the food it grows. 37. Astronauts ate food grown in space for the first time in 2015. Specifically, on August 10, 2015, NASA astronauts sampled red romaine lettuce that was growing in a specially designed chamber. The fact that food can now be grown in space means we can explore space for longer without running out of food supplies. 38. Some produce in the US is too ugly to sell. Specifically, a whopping 40% of produce grown is never sold just because it's too ugly. Because consumers won't buy imperfect fruits or veggies, grocery stores in turn refuse to stock them. 39. Sound can influence the taste of your food. High-frequency sounds enhance the sweetness in food, while low frequencies bring out the bitterness. 40. Death row inmates in Texas don't get to pick their last meal. An inmate on death row requested a ridiculous meal costing hundreds of dollars. He then ate none of it because he wasn't hungry. After this, the state legislators asked to end the tradition of allowing inmates to request their final meal. 41. Australians eat the most meat. Coming in at a whopping 200 pounds per person every year, Australians take first place, but are still closely followed by Americans. 42. Americans eat millions of pounds of peanut butter. Each year, Americans consume enough peanut butter to coat the floor of the Grand Canyon, 500 million pounds to be exact. 43. There are more Indian restaurants in London than in Mumbai or Delhi. There are around 15,000 restaurants in the UK, with most of them being in major cities, specifically London. And while they serve Indian food, most of the owners are of Bangladesh descent. 44. The Colombian Exchange changed the course of food. Until Christopher Columbus started the worldwide spread of plants and seeds, there were no oranges in Florida and no bananas in Ecuador. Not only this, but there were no potatoes in Ireland, no coffee in Colombia, no pineapples in Hawaii, the list goes on. 45. Hot chocolate tastes better out of an orange cup. Depending on how you serve something, it can scientifically change your perception of taste. Scientists had 57 volunteers try hot chocolate out of white, cream, red, and orange cups. It was the same hot chocolate, but the volunteers preferred the orange cup. 46. The original margherita pizza was color-coded. The margherita pizza was made to represent the Italian flag, basil for green, tomatoes for red, and mozzarella for white. 47. Not eating before bed burns fat. If you eat an early dinner, or skip dinner altogether, it increases the amount of fat a person burns while they're sleeping. 48. It's impossible to cook an egg on a sidewalk. The highest temperature ever recorded was 131 Fahrenheit. In order to cook an egg on a sidewalk, it would need to be 158 degrees. Even with the reflection of heat, concrete is not a good heat conductor, so you wouldn't be able to cook an egg. 49. Breakfast is not the most important meal of the day. The only reason this became a popular idea is because a company called General Foods used this as a marketing campaign in 1944. They coined the phrase to sell more of their cereal, grape nuts. The campaign stated that nutrition experts say breakfast is the most important meal of the day. 50. The Domino's co-founder traded his shares for a Volkswagen. 1 year after opening, James Monahan, a co-founder, traded his half of the shares for a used VW Beetle. 38 years later, the other co-founder, Tom Monahan, sold his shares for $1 billion.